Hello, welcome to Into Dorkness episode 30. Happy birthday! Woo! The big 3-0.
Finally.
Why is it that 40, like I remember going to Party City and stuff like that, like places
Yes.
that would have like birthday party decorations.
Right.
And 40 was always the over-the-hill age. I guess
that's where they start giving you the black balloons. And
I guess because 80 is the life expectancy.
Is it that high?
I don't know. I mean,
I thought it was like 70.
Preferably, I would.
I'd like to live to be 120 myself, but my eating habits aren't gonna.
I wouldn't. I would want to. I want to be of sound mind.
Yeah.
I don't care how long I live.
As long as my mind never goes.
As long as my mind never goes. I don't want to be that guy. I never want to be that grandpa that you end up finding at like Sears trying to buy a present for my daughter, who is actually like 24, and I'm trying to buy her a doll because I bought her a doll when she was like 6, and I remember that.
Right.
And I'm confused. I just don't want to do that.
No. I want my brain to work, and I want my junk to work.
I don't care about the junk, really.
No?
No. I just
Maybe by then you just won't care anymore, or you don't care now. You're like, fuck it, I'm 30, it's over.
I don't know, man. I enjoy becoming familiar with
drifting.
I enjoy drifting with women, becoming of one mind and body.
Right,
it's a very spiritual experience for me.
Piloting the kaiju.
Not
kaiju.
The Jaeger. Yeah, right. It's a very spiritual experience for me.
Sure.
And go ahead, man. Just open it up. Doctor, what are you drinking? Coke Zero. I
stole this from your fridge.
The official 0-calorie cola of Into Dorkness.
For sure.
I'm drinking Dr. Pepper 10. The official
10 calorie.
10 calorie. The official low calorie.
There you
go. Soda, cola of
Into Dorkness.
Of the fuck ever our show is called.
Oh, your mind is starting to go. It's probably time to put you down.
Put me down. At least put me somewhere nice.
See, yeah, if my mind starts to go, I'm going to go on record now, so nobody will go to prison for this. But I want to be of mice and men.
Right, like tricked by something that you love,
by someone I love,
with something you love.
What's he give him to look at? Does he give him a rabbit at the end before he kills him?
It gives him like a something, like a bunny or something.
Oh, is that what? I can't. It's been so long since I read it. I just thought he went to talk to him, and he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna get that farm, buddy." Blam, blam, blam. He shoots him 3 times because once isn't enough.
What's in the back of the head? You can't be sure.
No, you really can't.
Well, 79 is the life expectancy for the U.S. average.
Okay, what is it for men?
For men,
ladies tend to live a little longer.
76.
That's not so bad.
No.
But that means our lives are closer to halfway over than they are.
I want to know what the life expectancy for a Latino male in the United States is. And whatever it is, like if it's...
Who ate vegan for a few years.
For a few years. If it's like 77, I want to celebrate like an actual like midpoint birthday. Like, you know, when I'm 38
well, if you're 77, yeah, let's
38 and a half. When I'm 38 and a half.
That sounds right to me, but
I'm really good at math, bro. I'm the best at math.
I've got a real gift for numbers.
I'm the best at all maths. I want to celebrate it then. I don't want to half-ass it.
38 and a half.
38 and a half. But, I mean, I don't know. I'm going to have to do some research. I'm going to have to contact the World Health Organization, the WHO.
Right.
Maybe the
CIA.
CIA.
Run by Pete Townsend.
Run by the pedophile Pete Townsend. Can I say that? Can I say it jokingly?
Yeah, sure.
That was a joke.
It was a satire.
Satire. You
can't sue me for satire, Pete.
Pete, I know. Did you know that libel laws in Britain are a lot more stringent than the U.S.? Which is why people can't go all half-cocked saying shit like Pete Townsend's a pedophile.
I did not know
I can say that because I'm protected by the Constitution of the great United States of America. However, if I was across the pond, which is what they call the Atlantic Ocean, those clever little turnips, in the UK, the United Kingdom, do you know what the United Kingdom is?
England and some other places.
But do you know what places?
England, Ireland, and I'm going to just throw in... Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
Actually,
good. That's very good. Okay, Great Britain is.
Is there any other Britain? Like, is there Little Britain?
Well, no, I mean, like...
Is it like North Virginia?
Well,
Virginia?
there's England,
Okay.
the country of England.
Okay.
And then Great Britain is the country of England and Wales, I believe.
Okay, where they get their Dianas from.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the Welsh are from there.
Mm-hmm.
They're Welshmen and women, Welsh women. And then the UK is Great Britain, so England and Wales.
Okay.
And Ireland, and I believe Scotland.
Makes sense. What is Scotland but like a more manly version of Ireland?
It's pretty manly.
I mean, I am of Irish descent, but I'm willing to give that throne up because look at me.
Is there a dating website for people who want to date people with accents? I want to date an Irish woman, like a true blue, like from
like that episode
up
of,
the long ladder Irish woman.
You want a Brenna?
I want a Brenna. I want her to be like, "Don't you like girls?" and show me your bush, and then be like, "Yeah, you ready to drift?" Although
you're mixing your sci-fi properties. Why not?
Hey, that's my life. I'm not mixing anything. I'm just living my life. But yeah, I don't care. As long as I have my mind, I don't care if my junk works.
My wife has kind of an accent. But it's incongruous with where she's from. It doesn't make
any sense whatsoever.
The way my wife talks
she's from the southeast United States.
Yeah, she's from Alabama.
And she talks like she's like...
From the valley.
Like fresh, like off the beach in like SoCal.
Her mother doesn't talk that way. Her dad doesn't talk that way. I have no idea.
Maybe she just watched a lot of Valley Girl.
Or maybe her cover story doesn't add up and we need to do some digging. So why is 40 over the hill?
I guess because life expectancy is around 80. It's
probably going to go up in our lifetime, right?
Well, apparently it hasn't.
Well, I mean, there's still time for it to go up.
No, yeah, for sure. I think, yeah.
Do you feel different being 30? I do. Like, I actually... more a state of mind than like a state of body.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely. This weekend, we're coming to you live on a beautiful, humid, muggy, ugly...
Skies more white than blue, Texas.
Labor Day.
Yeah.
It rained, and that's the thing about Texas. People are like, oh, it rained, but it's still hot, so it just gets super humid and awful.
Yep.
When it's in the summertime.
Summer here is miserable.
And summer here is like 9 months out of the year.
Yeah.
It seems like.
It goes on for, I'd say, about 5 months at least, and a good year.
Like 5 to 6 months. Then we have a solid winter for maybe
6 weeks.
Maybe for about 2 or 3 months.
Right.
And then everything else is kind of a crapshoot.
We have summer and not summer.
Like there have been Christmases where I've walked out in a t-shirt and shorts.
Mm-hmm.
And then there have been Christmases
where you can't drive.
Where it's like last year, it was like everything was like iced over and snowed out.
That's right. We went to see Django Unchained, and I remember we carpooled because we thought there'd be less chance of dying that way.
Yeah, well, I mean, if nothing else, you die with your friends.
Right.
Django, there's a baby in that theater. There's a baby opening day, like 9 p.m. or 8 p.m.
showing of
Django Unchained.
That's somebody who really wanted to see Django
That baby, of all the babies in the world, that baby has probably heard the N-word more than any other baby.
That baby's the hardest baby in the world.
That baby is so hard.
He's got a little tattoo.
He got a little tattoo that says...
Mother.
Yeah, mom.
Moth.
That sort of thing. Moth.
Bart's tattoo.
Oh, yeah, Bart's tattoo that they got lasered off.
I had to spend Homer's Christmas bonus on it. No, it wasn't even. It was the Christmas money Marge saved up. She thought Homer's bonus was going to... She was like, your bonus will have to go further. But there was no bonus.
There was no bonus.
So Homer went to the track to...
Got a dog.
Yeah, also stole a tree.
Oh, yeah. True that.
Why does it smell like gunpowder?
Star
Trek?
The Bonding?
Episode of the week.
You think so? We'll discuss that at the end of the discussion. I might be able to turn your opinion like
this
the worm
one made me
cry.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I've got a real thing for parent-child stories.
Well, so do I.
Yeah. You should have more of one. You should have been weeping like a little young man.
I'm as hard as that baby, I guess.
I guess. Did your mom take you to a lot of N-word movies?
All of them.
She'd go to the box office and say, which movies have the N-word in them?
And the lady'd be like, excuse me?
You heard me.
And And she's like, all right, you're cool. This one, and really this one. She
I'll
took
take
me to
a ticket to all three.
I went and saw New Jack City when I was a kid. I saw Friday. I saw Boys in the Hood.
But you didn't see Jackie Brown.
No. Well, I was a teenager by that point.
That's true.
And my mom
She
was
like, it's your responsibility.
yeah, you need to go out and stay hard. Like, I got you hard, son.
Now you maintain it.
Now you got to stay hard.
Like, when Ben Franklin leaves the congressional Congress or wherever it was they're writing the Constitution, and the story is that the woman asks him, have you given us a democracy or an oligarchy or a monarchy? And Ben Franklin says to her, and I don't know how true this is, but this is one of those American legend things or myths. A democracy, madam, whether you keep it or not is up to you. That's your mom to you. That's about staying hard.
About staying hard.
And apparently the N-word's the only way to do it.
Yeah, that's hearing it. Just hearing it. That's the only way. Well, the only, proven way.
And only in movies. She couldn't just say it at home.
Yeah, no, she couldn't just come home and be like, hey, and just say it, say it just 50 times in a row. Like, I had to hear it in context, used by other people I didn't know. Because if she's saying it's, that's my mom, she takes care of me, obviously that means something good.
Right.
She wouldn't say anything that was bad. But.
Exactly. Showed you a lot of Pam Grier movies, but not Jackie Brown, like original Pam Grier 1.0.
Well, Worf is heading up an away team on this planet that used to be run by the Kanoinans.
Mm-hmm.
And everything's cool. Troy freaks out. She's like, get him out of there!
Yep.
The call's coming from inside the house. So, sure enough, Worf, he's like, hey, beam us back. But they lose one member. Archaeologist Maria Astor has slipped into shadows, has fallen into shadows.
Has joined her husband in the great beyond.
She has a son, and like I said, his father has already passed away.
Right. This is Jeremy.
Jeremy Astor, who's the little punk kid from RoboCop 2.
I did not know that.
Couldn't shoot a kid, could you, fucker?
That's probably why you didn't feel more sorry for
Yeah, because I was like, you shot RoboCop in the face. Like, right. I don't give a shit what happens to you, you little monster.
I was glad when you died on a pile of money in RoboCop 2, alright?
Taking too much nuke, man.
This kid has, like, a helmet of hair, too. In both movies, I think.
That was his trademark. If you go to his IMDb page, it's like trademark, his helmet of hair.
His hairnet.
So he's on board, and Picard takes it upon himself to tell Jeremy about his mom.
Right,
and,
that's his job.
And Troy accompanies him. It was at this point, because at this point they show because Troy and Picard have a discussion. Like, Picard's talking about how this is part of the reason why I don't want kids on the ship.
Mm-hmm.
And then it shows Wesley kind of talking about how he felt when Picard told him about his father.
Right.
And it has Worf doing this weird thing with a knife and a candle. I thought this episode was going to be several different looks
at death.
Yeah, kind of how it how this crew member who we'd never seen before, and obviously we'll never see again. I was still how the death of a crew member affects everyone in different ways.
Ripples.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be a pretty cool take, and I thought that's where it was headed. But apparently, it's still headed to episode of the week type of territory.
This is the first episode written by Ron Moore, the guy who did the new Battlestar Galactica and sort of became Rob and Mary Beth could speak to this more than I could, but one of the pillars of Star Trek for a long time.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So that's another reason this is a very exciting episode, because he's here now.
We got him. So yeah, Worf's doing this weird
knife thing in a blue room.
I assume it's a traditional Klingon ceremony.
Again, they don't tell you.
You just kind of have to be like, oh, that's what Klingons do when they got sad.
When they're sad, take sharp objects to fire.
So Picard tells Jeremy, and he's comforting him, and this is a really cool scene. He's like,
he says to him on the Starship Enterprise, "No one's alone."
He's like, as long as you're on the ship, you're never alone.
But we're dropping you someplace.
But else. You need to, there's no reason for you to be here, so you gotta leave. So Data...
So you are alone.
So Data and Riker have a chat about death, and Data's trying to figure out why people ask, oh, how well did you know them? How well did you know the deceased?
Right.
Thinking, is there, some, parallel between, knowing someone really well and being more affected, or I barely know him, so I shouldn't be that sad.
Right. Data's still trying to do the math on emotions.
Exactly. Trying to crunch the numbers on being a person, on feelings.
What's her name? Doesn't Tasha come up again?
Yeah, and he's like, I don't feel the same way that I felt about Tasha.
Right.
And he's like, well, that's because you boned her, dude.
Well, yeah.
All my girlfriends that have died, or all the women that I've slept with, that I've drifted with, that have passed away, and there have been many. I'd say over 50%, which is
curse.
Kind of weird. Yeah, there should be a Wikipedia entry on it.
Or a Snopes article or something.
It's like yellow. It's like unverified. That's a deep Snopes joke. Oh man. Okay. So Troy wants Worf to open up to her, his anger about Aster.
Right.
The reason
Troy's making the rounds, making everybody talk about their feelings and shit. It's like that episode of My So-Called Life where the gun goes off in the locker and all the kids have to talk to the counselor.
Yeah, exactly.
He's the Claire Danes of this episode.
Yeah, and what happened was this planet was, I guess, the battleground, the site of this historic battle,
a great battle
between these two races that are now extinct.
Right.
And
it was their Gettysburg.
Pretty much, and she essentially tripped an old mine, and it blew her up. Boom. And so he's like, this doesn't make any sense. This is stupid. I can't believe that's happened. He wants to Klingon bond with Jeremy Roostai.
Right, which will make them family, sort of.
Like homies.
Although it doesn't mean that...
spit or blood brothers.
Right. Although it doesn't mean that he'll, raise him or anything.
No.
It just means that there's a bond.
Yeah, their families are now bonded.
Right.
Their families are now bond. What's wrong with me?
Word is bond.
But he wants to do it because they're both orphans, and he's like, I know what you're feeling, homie.
Right, I also read Harry Potter.
Troy doesn't think that Jeremy's going to be ready for it. She's like, look...
He's going to hate you for a while.
He's going to be pretty pissed off.
And Worf's like, I get it, I'm pissed at me too, this is my fault.
This is a really great scene, actually. I really enjoyed this scene. So Jeremy's in his quarters using an iPad to watch old home videos.
Which, his dad died 5 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Jeremy has not aged in 5 years.
Apparently not, no.
Rare disease. Subtly hinted at by the episode.
Maybe that'll come up in future episodes.
We can only hope.
So Worf shows up. Klingons lack
tact?
A certain je ne sais quoi. A social tact, a social couth.
Right.
So he's like, your mother is dead. I must bond with you. And the kid's like, what?
If a man walked into my home and said...
Hey, your mom's dead, man. You want to bond?
I would be calling the police. Or in therapy or something.
So the ship picks up on an energy field on the planet, and Troy senses a presence. And so they go to investigate it. And meanwhile, Dr. Crusher and Wesley, they kind of have a heartfelt moment.
Right. And she wants him to talk to Jeremy.
Yeah, because she's like, dude, you know exactly what he's going through. You need to
help him.
Yeah, and about her husband, his dad, all that.
Right.
So Jeremy's back to watching home videos when his mom shows up. Dude, what? And Troy's like, hey, I sent something on the ship, a presence that I've never felt. And so in his room, his quote mom is, look, there's been a mistake. I'm not dead. And he was like, I thought you were dead. Like, no, it was a clerical error. In ancient Earth, World War II,
right.
When they, it's like Mad Men. Think of
just
Mad Men.
Like Mad
Think
Men.
of Dick Whitman and Don Draper.
You've seen Mad Men, right, Jeremy?
Right, Jeremy? What's your iPad good for? Watching old videos of your dad and your crazy disease? She's like, I'm fine. We can live together on this planet.
Yeah, we gotta go down to the planet, though. That's where all the dopest shit is.
Worf shows up and immediately narcs on fake Maria Astor. And Picard's like, don't do anything, just kind of, let us know where they're going. And so, they show up in the transporter room. Picard calls malarkey on the whole situation.
Yep.
And Worf grabs a protesting Jeremy. He's no, kicking and screaming, no, I want to go with my mom, I want to go with my mom. She disappeared, fake Maria Astor, fake Astor. She bamfs out. Except there's no
smell of brimstone, no flash of smoke.
There's not a brim. There's a smell of
sulfur.
Sulfur, that's what it is. Brimstone. Is that hell talk for sulfur?
I thought...
Is that demon talk?
Well, I think in what Nightcrawler's first appearance in Giant Size X-Men #1, there's a mention of Brimstone.
But,
I'm going to look this up. Keep talking.
So Troy and Jeremy head back to his quarters, which looks like his old house. And fake Maria's back. And she's like, I want to take Jeremy down. Let's do this. And Geordi remodulates the shields to cut off the energy field's power. Like, they figured out that the energy field is connected to this presence on the ship. And so fake Maria, and the fake house disappear.
Right.
The energy field attacks the Enterprise directly, and then gets back on board. I guess part of it is as rematerialized as fake Maria, and part of it is just like an energy beam field, like running around the Enterprise,
fucking shit up
for the people that's on the streets. So they're chasing around the energy light, and it's trying to learn how the Enterprise works.
Right.
Like, it's going into the systems, and it turns on the transporters, and because they turned it off because they're like, we can't let this thing beam down with Jeremy. Just turn off the transporters.
Right.
We're not using them.
Pull the
right
plug.
Now. Turns them back on, and finally Picard is like, dude, you
fucking quit it.
Yeah, you need to knock this off. And fake Astra's like, this planet used to house two races. There was one of matter, one of energy. They killed each other. It was our fault that she died, that Jeremy's mom's died. So we feel it's our obligation to.
We have to bond with Jeremy.
Yeah, to take him down, make him happy, make up for it. Up for it. And Picard's all like, yo, we need to be sad. It's all a part of life, sucker.
Right. Well, humans are defined by suffering.
Yeah. And Troy's like, can you provide friends, education, a career, a wife, all the things that make life worth living and make you want to kill yourself?
And they're like, ooh.
Goo, I guess not. So Wesley comes in and just fucking lets it all hang out on Picard. He's like, it should have been you bald son of a bitch.
Yep, just like Chris O'Donnell in Batman Forever.
Yeah.
Pounding on his chest.
Yeah, exactly. Which I think that's like Joel Schumacher showed.
And Akiva Goldsman.
Showed Chris O'Donnell this episode, and he's like, I want you to do this.
Channel this.
Channel this guy.
And we're talking billion worldwide.
Or easily. Man, Batman. Did we talk about Ben Affleck being Batman? Let's finish this episode up.
Yeah.
We're almost done. But he's like, I hated you, but not anymore. Like, I
outgrew it. I understand.
I mean, I understand. Like, it wasn't your fault. Like, shit happens. And Troy tells Jeremy he's probably feeling the same things towards Worf, and he's like, yeah, for sure, totes. And Worf's all like, hey, Roost Tide can do that, and they'll always be homies. And he's like, all right. And fake Maria's like, okay, like touches his shoulder, walks off, and smiles and disappears. Like, oh, they've got it. They've got this on lock. We don't have to worry about it. The episode ends with the Roost Tide ceremony.
Which, that and the kid's got his little Klingon robes on, and they do candles together. That's what
they do candles.
Yeah. I really liked this episode.
This was a good episode. It was really good. Actually, it might be episode of the week.
You can argue that the all-powerful being thing's a little
that's
old hat, but the rest of it, the emotional stuff about the parents and children, and actually digging into how the various characters are dealing with it, although it's a little more pulled together in a traditional narrative than, say, like breaking it up into separate segments. I really liked it. It was really good.
Have we spoken about Ben Affleck as Batman?
I don't think we have.
Is that a big deal? I don't think it is.
No. I mean, it's...
There are people signing petitions that they want Warner Brothers to fire Ben Affleck.
On change.org, right? Like, or moveon.org.
Which is bullshit, because I have to sift through all that shit to get to my, release picket fences on DVD petitions that I want to get signed.
Right, Wonder Years on DVD. It's still not on DVD.
And it's on Netflix, but it's
good enough. But special features.
Yeah.
When was the last time you watched the special feature on a DVD? Let's get back to Ben Affleck. But
God bless America. When was the last time I bought a DVD?
Well, Taylor Swift.
I didn't buy that. I downloaded it.
Well, you have to.
Oh,
You've
yeah.
got Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I've got the Fearless.
Did you watch any of the features
I
on
haven't
that?
yet, no.
Do you plan to?
Yeah, absolutely.
I still buy these.
Well, the whole thing is kind of like a special features type thing. It's like a behind the scenes. It has like some concert footage, but it's like a behind the scenes
it's more
look.
of a documentary.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay. I tried to watch the commentary on Prometheus, and about 45 minutes in, I was like, oh, fuck this. But I used to watch every feature, even the ones I knew while I was watching it, like, I hate
I was like, this is dumb. So you'd be like 100%.
Exactly, yeah, I had to unlock the achievement.
So Ben Affleck's Batman, people, like...
losing their goddamn minds.
Patton Oswalt wrote...
The comedian.
A comedian. He's not a woman.
Oh, no, comedian.
Comedian. Wrote this very well thought out, well written defense of
B. Fleck.
And it was basically like I've seen this kid, like he was a kid pretty much,
right,
when Good Will Hunting came out.
Yeah,
they were
he was
like
a baby,
and between then and now, like he's survived it.
Mm-hmm.
Like this dude, I mean, and we're not talking about like someone who's like, had a lot of success and then, just kind of, made his way throughout Hollywood. This guy was like engaged to like Jennifer Lopez and was
the biggest joke in Hollywood for a couple of years.
Yeah, and like has made his way around.
In fact, Patton Oswalt made a joke about Ben Affleck.
When
he's talking about working on Best Week Ever, he's like, all you have to do is talk about shitty actors and blah. Ben Affleck, Ben Affleck's name gets thrown in there. So like, even the man writing the defense jumped on that bandwagon.
But
I think I could be wrong about that, but I think he did. I never thought, but yeah, he.
And so I mean, he wrote this out, and I was reading some of the responses to it, and there were people just like one word, Daredevil. Like a movie that came out, 10 years ago?
Yeah, it came out the same year as X-Men 2 and Hulk. That was the year that there were 3 Marvel movies in one summer.
And one of them was good.
Yeah. Yeah, the other 2 were...
not good.
No, to put it mildly. Our friend Walter was talking about how he always thought Christian Bale's Batman voice was a ripoff of Daredevil, or Ben Affleck's Daredevil voice. So I went hunting for clips of Daredevil, which I haven't seen since I saw it in the theater with our friend Daryl in 2003.
Makes sense.
Right. And first of all, there weren't very many clips, but the voice, it's kind of similar. It's not as guttural, but it's still... But even more so, that movie was fucking awful, and I forgot.
Like
the costume, the story,
I rewatched Dark Knight Rises.
Mm-hmm.
Not last night, maybe 2 nights. This whole weekend has been awesome.
Mine too.
I hung out with my kid all weekend. Like
eating watermelon.
I
saw the picture he posted.
She became a watermelon.
Yeah, shit got weird for a little while.
We just hung out like
bros.
Like bros, just played around, played read books, colored, watched Monsters Inc. And also, me and my homies watched some college football, watched a bunch of movies, at night after she was in bed. And today I haven't done anything. I woke up at noon.
I've been watching Breaking Bad all day.
I watched last night's Breaking Bad. You're catching up.
Yeah, I still have about 10 episodes to go before I get to the current batch.
How do you think now that you've seen it, I've seen a lot of it, how do you think it's stacking up against Mad Men?
It's a very different type of show, I think. I think it's
more consistent than Mad Men.
I would say so, yeah. I think it's more consistent. I'd say it's playing a different game than what Mad Men does, because Mad Men isn't really... Although people try to turn it into this, and they frustrate themselves with it every year about, Mad Men's not really about what happens next. It's more about the characters and the internal decisions, whereas Breaking Bad's characters are a very different sort of construction. There are these archetypes that are sort of pulled out over this long period of time and put into these situations. Walter White is more an archetype than, say, Don Draper, who's more of a very individual, unique character. Mm-hmm. But they put him in a situation where he has to make choices and, see what that type of person would do. which is also a great way to do it, and it's more nail biting, whereas Mad Men's more about Mad Men's more like reading a novel, a literary novel, whereas Breaking Bad's more of a page turner. And I think it's the best page turner on TV, probably. I mean, without having watched every TV show on TV, but
every TV show.
It's a lot more, and I forgot how funny it was because I took about a year off from it, and all I remembered was how dark it was, and I forgot how funny the show gets.
And you took a year off after the second season?
I got into like the third season. It's right around the time where
that's when it gets really fucking dark.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it was right. It's after Hank beat the shit out of Jesse, and then Hank almost dies when the twins are coming after him. And after that episode, I was like, I don't know what was going on in my life. I was like, this is good, but I can't be in this mode for a while. But in the last week, I've watched the rest of season 3, and I'm almost done. I have 2 more episodes of season 4, so I'm only a few episodes away.
So you're going to go home, watch those 2 episodes.
Probably, yeah.
And then you got
8
on
and
Netflix.
Then how many have come out so far?
4? I think this is the 4th.
Okay, so yeah, I'll have to catch up, because the main thing I'm afraid of is the internet won't shut up about it the day after. So like, this isn't something where it's one of those, and I can't bitch at people for talking about it, because it's like, it's exciting.
Yeah,
everybody's watching.
Like, I kind of stay off Facebook, stay off Twitter.
Exactly.
That night,
right.
the night that it airs.
Yeah,
I watch it the next day.
That Sunday, Monday turnaround.
Yeah.
But I don't want it spoiled for me. I want to see it. I mean, I won't see it the night it airs because I don't have cable, so I'll probably get it.
Neither do I. Cut the cord, man.
I never had the cord.
We had the cord when we lived together.
Yeah, when we.
That was more so my
directive.
Yeah, my prime directive. We
right.
must have cable.
I enjoyed it. But I only really watched it with you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you weren't home, I was reading a book like an idiot,
like a freaking Amish person.
By candlelight. So Ben Affleck is Batman. Just wait. Look, Man of Steel sucked. Okay.
Yeah, it did.
First of all, it's not like they replaced Christian Bale for Batman 3. It's not like they pulled him after Dark Knight and they're like, all right, Ben Affleck, you finish this story.
Yeah.
It's it's a new take. It's by a filmmaker who's autistic. And you know what? Ben Affleck's, the movies he's directed are really good movies. So maybe he'll bring some
awesome movies.
Yeah, maybe he'll bring some class to it. Maybe he'll actually help shape the material in a way that it makes sense. I doubt it, because I don't. But that's my hope. And I think he's a good actor.
And apparently, Man of Steel is the begin. It's like their DC's Iron Man,
which is such a bummer.
That's like the beginning of their universe.
Remember, I texted you because it hasn't officially been announced, but the rumor is that Bryan Cranston's already been signed as Lex Luthor. And we were joking about how, well, he's already tearing it up as one bald bad guy. Yeah. Why not keep the party going? Seems a little easy, but you know what? He hasn't gotten a lot of film work, really. Or he has, but he's in like these really small parts that I don't think really let him shine the way Breaking Bad does. But I wonder if he's also one of those actors. You know, some actors, they're great on TV, they're huge on TV, but when you put them in a movie, it just doesn't quite work. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if he's one of those. Like
Michael C. Hall. Like he was in that movie Gamer, I think.
Oh, that's right, he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's Dexter and David from 6 Feet Under.
Dexter from Dexter and David from 6 Feet Under.
I haven't seen Dexter. It's another one of those I need to. I hear it's kind of bad now, but the first.
Yeah, I'm watching it simply because I'm a completist, and this is the last season. So,
is it?
And so I've been like kind of wading through it.
I hear Breaking Bad's putting it to shame.
Oh, absolutely!
Stomping it.
Well, I mean, it seemed like Vince Gilligan, the creator of Breaking Bad, like had a story. Like this is the
beginning, the middle, and the
end. This is the story I want to tell.
Right.
And maybe AMC's like, well, hey, can you stretch it out a little? Well, I don't even know if it was them or he was like, hey, I need a bigger like 5th season.
Right. So they did 2 mini seasons, kind of the 8.
Which and Breaking or Dexter, and I've read this. The writers they'll write the season and then take their summer break or whatever,
and then
come back and be like, all right, now how do we continue this story?
Right. you can see that in a show like True Blood too, where it's not really about like an overarching single story. It's more about what situations can we put these characters into. Like,
do you know anything about season 5 of Breaking Bad?
No.
You know nothing?
No.
Oh my god!
I'm 2 episodes away. I just got to the one. I mean,
from season 4?
No, from finishing season.
Yes, Okay, so what's going on right now?
Okay, so if you haven't watched or you don't want to be spoiled even on season 4, tune out for a few minutes. Gustavo just poisoned all the guys in Mexico, the guys who were making him give up the recipe for the meth that Jesse and Walter cooked. And Jesse was supposedly going to be left there. He was going to belong to the cartel. Yeah. And then he poisons the drink, but he takes some pill before they drink. And so all these guys are dying, and he looks like he's sick, but he's not dead yet. Yeah. And so they're fleeing. That's what just happened. And Walter got the shit beat out of him by Jesse. Like, they got into a fist fight, but he came off the worse for it.
Yeah.
And Skylar's old boss is in tax trouble, and she tries to bail him out secretly, and he buys like a Mercedes or a Lexus or like something. Fucking asshole.
Yeah, like a fucking asshole.
And Hank is. I think this was the same episode where they test the tracker and they only see that it's gone to like 2 different places. So Hank is that guy's such a fucking asshole, but he's a great cop.
Yeah.
Like, I love watching him work because like he can trick you because he seems like such an ignorant piece of shit, but then like you see like he's always watching and always thinking.
Yeah, like he really is a good cop, but and I guess that's why he's such a good cop, or maybe that like the character flaws that he has that make him such an asshole make him a good cop.
Yeah, and I think that
like he always thinks he's right. He's always like thinking like, you know, his
trying to find his way to what he. Well, and his hunches tend to be right.
Yeah,
like he's got a. Oh yeah, and there's been a lot of great interplay with, you know, he's got Gail's lab notes and everything, and so that scene where he and Walt are sitting in the bedroom like reading them, and he finds the dedication to WW.
Oh, that's right.
And Walt's like, it's Walt Whitman.
Yeah, and he jokes. He's like, WW, what do you think that is? And he's like, whatever. And he's like, Walter White? And he's like, ha ha ha, you got me.
Yeah.
Yeah, when that happened, I was like, oh.
Because he gives him that searching look a lot. You know that look I'm talking about where he's kind of squinting and he's like, what's going on here?
Like, yeah, he's kind of processing it in his brain. Booby Trap.
Yes.
Was an episode that we saw.
I liked this one too.
Jordy and his boo thing are on a beach, and he's spitting game hard, but she ain't drinking his Kool-Aid.
No, she's blocking it. She's got a sneeze guard put up against his spit. Well, he's overdoing it. Like,
a little bit.
There's a beach, there are drinks,
and
there's a gypsy violinist.
Exactly. And she's like, basically she friend zones him pretty much.
Speaking of which, where does the phrase friend zone originate? I was watching something from the 90s the other night, and friend zone appeared there, and I was wondering, like, what piece of pop culture does that first appear in? Because the first time I remember hearing it was in Scrubs, but Becca's been watching Friends on DVD, and they have it in there back in 1994, so...
Maybe they did.
Maybe? Or maybe Seinfeld?
I remember...
It feels like something Seinfeld would have come up with.
There's like a men's humor Twitter account. I don't know if it's that, but there was something like that, and they tweeted, it's like there's no reason to like force yourself on a lady unless she like friend zones you or something like that. Unless she puts you in the friend zone, and someone's like the joke here is. I gotta.
It wasn't Friends, or that's the first. That's where it was popularized. I'm sorry, you were saying it was. What's the joke?
I'm trying to figure it out. Well, Jordy, she's like, I don't like you like that, and he's like, cool, I guess, whatever. I'll find it. It's awful. It's essentially like, and someone else retweeted. It's like the joke here is that is to rape women who won't have sex with you, essentially.
That's so funny.
Or it was there's no reason the only reason is to hit a woman is if she attacks you first or if she friend zones you, and like the joke here is to hit women who won't have sex with you, to assault women, and that's from like a pretty
a
big
major publication or
like
website.
Men's Humor or something like that. Which also they steal tweets too. I don't know. I'm probably speaking out of telling tales out of school. I don't know.
What the fuck is wrong with people?
Anyway, the Enterprise is hanging around this old historic space battle site.
It's an extinct race.
Two extinct races.
Right, but one of the ships is still intact.
The
right?
Menthars and the Permilians, and they find like the Permilian,
Star Destroyer.
Star Destroyer, whatever. A cruiser.
And Picard's like, "What the fuck?
And like, this is awesome! I want to go explore." And Riker's like, "I don't know if this is a good idea." And he's like, "Shut up!
The fuck up!
I'm gonna do this." And
I'm
like,
the captain.
And he like nerds out.
Mm-hmm.
Like he goes and nerds out while he's
like,
there.
"I wrote my junior thesis on this shit."
But before that, Geordi and Guinan have a moment where she reveals that she's hottie for baldies.
Yeah, which a friend of ours, Julie, friend of the show, said is going to come back.
Come back
in season
5. Cinco? 4, 5, Cinco?
Yeah.
So Picard and the away team, they find a video from the Permilian captain basically saying like, "Hey, this is my last will and testament.
My crew rocks.
My crew rocks.
Class of 80 rules."
Yeah. And he has a total exploration boner.
Yeah.
And Troy seems giddy about Picard's giddiness. Like, she kind of giggles. She's like, it's just really, like,
nice to see the side of your
exactly. That I hardly ever see.
Because he's really cheerful and happy, and he's got a whole thing about model ships in this one, doesn't he?
Like, he talks about, like, haven't you ever wanted to go inside the ship?
Right, in the bottle. And Riker's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
And he's like, didn't you ever build model ships as a when you were a kid, like during your childhood? And Riker says no, and Data's like, I didn't have a childhood.
O'Brien's like, I did.
O'Brien's like, and he's like, I don't care about you, you Irish louse. So the Enterprise, but then the Enterprise seems to be under attack, but they can't figure out from what.
Right.
And Picard seems to think that they've fallen into the same Menthar Booby Trap, which is how they got the name of the episode. If for those of you who are having trouble following along, the smoke the Permilians thousands of years ago. And so what it does, it drains the ship's energy and then redirects it onto it as radiation with clever little turnips.
That really is a horrible way to die.
Right? It's like basically it's like, why you hit yourself? Why you hit yourself?
To death.
To death. The space version of that.
Right.
So Geordi's trying to figure out how to fix the problem, and essentially he has to go back to formula.
Pretty much.
He pulls out like the Enterprise's like schematics and stuff about like its warp drive and all that.
Right.
And sees like all this, like it's like L. Brahms like written all over it, and he's like, "Who is this?" And like, "Oh, that's the person who designed the warp drive on the Enterprise."
Right.
And so he creates a holodeck version of her, so he can kind of talk to her, and they have enough information on her that there's like a 6% margin of error, which is good enough, I think.
Yeah, if they can recreate 94% of a person, that's pretty.
I mean, that's anyone after like a couple of beers anyway. Like they're 94% of like who they normally really are anyway. Yeah, it's true. And so she doesn't do anything. She just kind of like answers his questions.
Right.
And so Geordi's like, that's when he's like, add her personality. That's when they get the.
Right.
That's when they get
and the ship resists it. At first,
they're like,
right?
are you sure? Like, we still got a margin. He's like, just do it, dude.
I wanna talk to her.
And so they immediately argue, but man, oh man,
sparks are flying.
Sexual tension
is afoot. She's like, I dig your visor, and he's like, I dig your green dress.
And like he's got this theory about what might work, and she's like, it's not gonna work, blah blah. And he's like, you worked in a lab. This ain't no lab. This is real life, son.
Right, School of Hard Knocks.
And she's like, that's true. And he's like, damn right. Literally says, damn right.
I remember that, yeah. And he's such a nice guy, too. It's kind of like, he even sounds like a nice guy when he's trying to say damn right.
So they started to make some progress. But all this non-essential systems shut down on Picard's orders.
Right.
But Geordi gets him to
special permission.
Get to restart the holodeck. They think they have found a solution. They have to put basically control of the ship over the computer because it can make on-the-fly adjustments quicker.
Right, and it's going to take like thousands of adjustments per second to be able to.
Because what they're trying to do is
navigate out of the field on impulse power, right? Manually. And like in Star Wars.
But they decide that they run like some
simulations,
and each time the computer fucks it up and they die. And so Geordi's like, we can like this will work, but we got to do it. I have to do it manually because the computer can't simulate, just gut instincts and intuition,
right?
Which is where I was kind of like, I thought they were kind of like they're like it was also like Geordi was also kind of explaining why like I shouldn't be able to like fall in love with this simulation.
Yeah, pretty much. But he is. Hey man, you fall in love with
you try to get it where you can, I guess.
Yeah, look, when the real world is putting you in the friend zone, go to the holodeck.
Go to the holodeck and
where no one says no.
So
where's that T-shirt? Where that theme song for the holodeck?
Come on,
TV
like that
show.
slogan.
Yeah.
Picard agrees, and he was like, "I'll fly it." Like he's like Wesley,
right.
like I relieve you of command, which is a badass moment.
Yeah, well, and it plays into when Picard and Riker are talking about building model ships. Picard's talking about the imagination and adventure and putting these fake situations, pretending to pilot a biplane that only has one engine working and things like that. So like this is him, basically stepping in and using that imaginative power he's been harnessing his whole life.
Finally.
It's nice. It's a nice moment. It's also another example of an episode primarily focused on another character that comes back around to Picard fixing the situation. Sort of like the Sherlock Holmes episode. Yeah. But it's still such a good moment that it doesn't really matter. It's a great moment.
So,
he flies it out.
Yeah, he gets him out.
But he does this badass move because they can't make it work. The engines don't have enough power or something, so Picard slingshots him around one of the asteroids.
Yes.
And Data's like, what the fuck?
So, he gets him out, and then Geordi... And then they blow up, like, the spaceship.
The Booby Trap.
So that no one will ever suffer the same fate again. And then Geordi and holodeck Leah share a smooch.
And he's like, can I bring you back? And she's like, hey man, every time you're working on the Enterprise, you're touching my naughty bits.
All right.
So when he smooches her, he's basically kissing the Enterprise.
Like the control panels.
It's pretty sexy.
I don't know if I would call it sexy.
Yeah, well, if you've ever owned a fleshlight.
You would know. All right, you can fall in love with a machine.
It's not even a machine. I guess it's a simple tool, really, more than anything else, because there are no moving parts.
Yeah, it's like a screwdriver. The enemy, it's like a really sexy screwdriver.
Right.
The enemy, Riker, Geordi, and Worf are on some planets.
Rocky
surface,
planet.
Yeah. And things are going crazy. There's an electromagnetic storm or something.
Right.
They find evidence of Romulan chicanery, shenanigans.
Yep.
Worf finds what appears to be a dead Romulan, but he ain't dead. Like he shoots his arm up and starts to choke Worf, and Worf palm strikes him and knocks him out, which is awesome.
It's nice to see Worf's combat abilities succeeding
for once
as the show evolves.
But oh no, Geordi falls into a cavern, young Bruce Wayne style.
Yeah.
But there's no Thomas Wayne to save this little blind boy.
No, he's going to have to crawl out himself like Dark Knight Rises style.
Exactly. Also, we were discussing this earlier. We got off topic as we are
want to do.
I rewatched Dark Knight Rises for the first time since I saw it the first time.
Right. How's it hold up?
It's not as good as I remember it. And people who are like, I can't believe Ben Affleck is Batman. It's like, well, if he and you said if they had dropped him in after Dark Knight, which is like how could don't fuck with the
formula.
Yeah. Then for sure, but now it's like you got this decent Batman movie,
right? It's
a shitty Superman movie.
Right. It's good enough.
Yeah,
I'd say Dark Knight Rises. I watched it again, and I enjoyed it, but
it's long, so long.
I watched it over the course of 2 or 3 nights. I'd watch an hour here, an hour there. That's how I watch movies now. It's like who has time?
Who has time
to watch a movie that long? But it's good enough. I feel like it's. I don't know, that whole Good Will Hunting bit that they put in about, basically they do the version of Chucky's speech about, you know what the best part of my day is?
Oh, yeah.
Except it's Alfred going I have a dream that I'll see you at this one cafe. In Harmontown they talked about that. Kumail Nanjiani talks about, oh my God! You see, the man who raised you. You don't even say hi.
You wouldn't be like, what's up?
Hey, I'm not dead! Also, that's such a shitty thing to do to the people who love you. Yeah, I'm dead forever. Like, not even give him a note. Also, I don't like that Alfred disappears from the movie for most of it. Like, I feel like they really could have done more interesting stuff with him in the city, or had him help Bruce get out of the fucking hole, or something.
Fucking something.
But there's still a lot of good stuff in it. I think Anne Hathaway is great as Selina Kyle. And Tom Hardy's pretty good as Bane.
The question of how Alfred knew about the pit,
right,
was brought up, and I was like, well, he used to be like a soldier of fortune, which like he brings up when he's talking about how they were chasing that guy who was stealing all those like diamonds and stuff.
And Dark Knight,
And then they just like like that great line, some men just want to see the world burn.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was in the shit.
Yeah.
For a while.
Thomas Lennon is in that movie.
As the doctor.
That's a really weird
dangle.
That's a tonally strange scene.
I mean, it's played solely for laughs.
Right, which is not of a piece with the other two movies. Like, I remember the first time I saw it in the theater, I was like, are they going to Spider-Man 3 this? I mean, I don't think they do, but they skirt that line in that scene. Yeah. Also, having him dressed in that suit with a ski mask on, like, diving down into... I mean, it's more comic booky than the first two. Like, it's definitely...
Tom Hardy's awesome.
He is. He's a very good Bane. But anyway, I still like it. I think it's a pretty good movie. It's just not a great movie. So The Enemy.
They're trying to find Geordi, and Riker wants to lead, because they have to beam out.
Right.
Because it's getting too unstable.
Shit's getting fucked up.
Riker wants to lead another away team, but Picard bionic rednecks him. He goes, ah!
Bionic redneck.
That's a nickname for Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Oh. I'd never heard that. Maybe because
it's not one of his more
well known,
but because he has like these like crazy like knee braces that he wore.
Right, I remember those.
And he had like surgery on his neck to repair like a
spinal injury.
Yeah, spinal injury. Well, he broke his neck in the ring.
That's amazing. Like, and he lived through it.
He got dropped on his head, like spiked onto his head, and won the match. I mean, but you could tell something was wrong because like. He gets spiked onto his head, and then like is like motionless, and then the guy who did it is like you know showing off to the crowd, like has his back turned,
right?
And Austin like literally like drags himself to the guy and rolls him up in like the worst like looking like roll up ever, and wins the match, and then with the help of other people like walks out.
Oh God!
Yeah.
I could never do that job. I need to watch The Wrestler again.
It's so good.
The whole point of that movie to me was like the physical toll that takes on you.
And think about this, like it's, I mean,
like those guys kill themselves out there.
Every night. And here's the thing, man. It's
not like pro football where like you've got a nest egg unless you're one of the big stars.
Yeah. Exactly. Like,
and you're good with money.
Which, I mean, come on. Like, none of those guys are really. I mean, they're a handful, but...
Right.
But it's like... I mean, it's not as hard as, like concrete and cement by any means, but the ring, it's not like a plush mattress. I mean, there's
You're taking a hard hit.
There's not a whole lot of give to it.
Right.
I mean,
it's not concrete, but it's not like the mat you slept on at daycare.
Well, I would say it's probably that equipped. Like, I mean, it's like a gym mat.
Oh, okay.
A gym mat over like a hardwood floor.
Still not a lot.
Maybe a little bit more like give to that, but
right.
And they're falling on it. I mean, they're essentially,
getting thrown onto it.
Just dropping. Like, I mean, and just try like falling on the floor. Like,
I'd get a mat burn and I would quit.
With no like just like literally just like falling on your back. Over and like 5 times in a row, and that's how they train to get their
calluses and shit.
But
no, thank you.
But
I'll stick to my office job where
No, you should be a wrestler.
I probably should.
I've
been saying no to this for a long time, but we're 30 now. It's time.
Might as well.
Time to face up and be like, look, I'm almost halfway through my life. It's time I started doing the shit I was born to do.
And you were born to be a pro wrestler.
Yes. So look for that in the coming years.
Into wrestling.
Yeah. Into the ring.
Into the ring. So
Star Trek.
Picard, Bionic Redneck.
Right.
So, and then so his nickname was Bionic Redneck.
Yes.
And he had a thing he would go.
Oh.
And so
that's where the
me and my other wrestling fan friends.
Aficionados.
We we've saying like, oh yeah, just like, oh, like, did you ask that girl out? Like, yeah, but she brought a redneck to me.
Oh, I never heard that.
So meanwhile, the injured Romulan comes to, but he's going to die unless Crusher can figure out a way to save him.
Right.
And he won't answer any of Riker's questions. So
yeah, he keeps saying specifically, "I will answer no questions."
Yeah. And Geordi's trying to climb out of the chasm.
Not having much luck.
No. Wesley suggests building a probe with neutrino pulses, which can connect to Geordi's visor or whatever.
Right, he'll be able to see it and somehow modify it.
Well, they'll be able to know where like he is if he can get to it.
Okay.
Like because they send a probe out and it's like,
right.
And they know where the probe is.
Wesley's so smart.
Picard says cool beans, and then the Enterprise intercepts a message from a Romulan warbird.
And there's a snake oil salesman running this shit.
Yeah, and the captain's all like, the message is like, "Say, homie, we'll pick you up in a little bit." And so Picard, calls that Romulan captain, and he's like,
"You're not supposed to be here."
Yeah, like, hey, so that guy's messed up, and the Romulan captain's like, yeah. Picard's like, "You're not supposed to be here," and the Romulan's like, "Oh, that guy messed up. There
was a navigational error.
Yeah, he didn't mean to travel into Federation space."
And he's like, "It's half a light year into Federation space. How do you make an error that big?"
Like, that's what it was.
Hey, look, I'm as baffled as you. All right,
Weekend has our friend back, and so there's some debate as to whether or not they'll keep the Volcant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Riker and Worf want to, but Picard wants to avoid a sitch that could lead to war.
Right.
And Geordi's still trying to climb out. He sees the pulses, but he can't
right.
really get to it because he's knocked out from
but
behind.
But he knows just seeing them that it's Wesley.
He's like, "Wesley, you little son of a bitch." He gets knocked out from behind, and there's a dirty Romulan holding him prisoner. He's like, "You are my hostage," and Geordi's like gives zero fucks.
He has no fucks left to give it.
He's just like, dude, like,
we're gonna die.
Like, we're both prisoners here, you asshole. Like,
right. You just happen to have a gun.
Like, big deal, alright? Right. Like,
why doesn't Geordi have a gun? I guess so this episode could happen the way it does.
Exactly. He's like Batman. Like, falling down caverns, not using guns. Some rocks fall down.
A young Christopher Nolan is stroking his chin somewhere in 1990.
So,
1989, excuse me.
Some rocks fall down and injure the Romulan. And then Geordi's visor goes out, so it's a real see no evil, hear no evil situation that they got going on.
The visor is in shape, but the planet, the something on it degenerates the brain neurons, the connections and stuff. So basically, his brain is no longer able to interact with the visor.
Bakra can't walk. Geordi can't see. It's like Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder over again.
Yeah, it's a madcap comedy from here to the end.
Bakra wonders why Geordi's parents didn't smash his head on the rocks when he was born.
Yep.
Which is always a nice thing to say to someone whose help you need to survive.
Yeah, who is disabled also.
Yeah, exactly. He's like,
nothing disabled people love to hear more than, "Hey, you should be dead."
Like, why didn't your parents kill you and then try again? Why didn't your parents get rid of the defective model?
Right. Look, if I buy an iPad and it doesn't work, I don't live with the iPad. Like, I take it back to the Apple Store. At the
very least, I take it to the Apple Store. I mean, like, worst case scenario, I'm going to return it and get a new one.
Right.
I'm not going to be like, "Oh, well, there's no sound, but it's not a big deal."
Right. No, I need the sound. How am I supposed to catch up with Mad Men?
You are an iPad with no sound.
Yeah.
Will you carry me out of this pit? Worf is found to be a ribosome match. That's what, essentially, like, he's the one who can save the Romulan's life.
Right, but he has to give up some tummy cells or something.
The choicest cell. As we have already established, the choicest of cells. He refuses to help on account of hating Romulans because, like, hey, they killed my parents.
Right.
Which makes sense.
Right, and I really thought the episode, I mean, spoiler alert, if you're listening to this show to hear the stories of Trek because you don't feel like paying the $8 a month for Netflix.
I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you, but I really thought the episode was going to head in a different direction than what it ends up heading in. Like, I really thought Worf was going to change his mind.
Oh, no, he doesn't.
Yeah.
He absolutely doesn't, which is kind of awesome.
Yeah, and the guy dies.
And, well, the guy doesn't want to be helped either.
He's like, "I would rather die than have your filthy spunk in my..."
Exactly. He says, "Come close, Klingon, so I can die with my hands at your throat."
Worf's like,
yeah, and says he would rather die than pollute his body with Klingon filth.
Yep.
Picard's pissed at Worf. And, like, after that, can you blame him?
Yeah, well...
He's like, hold on, did you hear what that motherfucker said to me?
Yeah.
Like, that's some, like, fucking Third Reich eugenics shit, dude.
Yep.
Come on.
Well, also, but see, when that line came up, I thought, of course, the ultimate revenge would be to save his life and have him owe
be
you
like,
forever.
how does my dick taste? Just,
sling it at him.
Something like that, yeah, why not? But Worf is like, and Riker's like, or Riker had already chewed him out for it before.
Right. The crew is taking turns berating him.
Yeah. And Picard is like, Worf's like, look, dude, if you order me to do this, I will. I'm not going to disobey an order from my captain. And Picard's like,
I don't want to order you.
I want you just to do it. And he's like, well, fuck you, because I'm not going to do it. But it doesn't matter because he died. He died. The Romulans died.
Which means that they've lost their bargaining chip with the Romulans.
Yeah,
so they think.
Yeah, because the Romulans like, oh, hey, like, we'll just pick up our homie and we'll be good to go.
Right.
And so the Romulan captain shows up. He's like, hey, give us our homie. And Picard's like,
no.
No. And
all right, Mr. Burns, what's your first name?
And Tomalak, the Romulan captain, is like, you have to give it to us. This is an act of war if you don't. And he's like, well, too bad because he's already dead.
How about that?
And so, right as like the Romulan warbird like starts to like attack,
bro up, yeah.
It starts to like like
stand up to show how tall it is.
Bow up. That's bow up. Geordi and Baccarin are picked up by the sensors and they're beamed aboard.
Well, straight onto the bridge, right?
Because, I mean, they got to. They have to.
They have to be like, oh, we got another one in.
And Baccarin, and he was like, hey, you, like, didn't mention anything about a second Romulan. And Tomalak's like, yeah, still, though, you let our homie die, so we're still going to attack. And Baccarin's like, no, dude, like, I didn't give them any info. Like, they weren't responsible for the attack that destroyed our ship and left us on the planet.
Right.
And in fact, this blind dude helped save my life. And so Tomalak's like, all right, cool, we'll dip out. We'll leave Federation airspace. We'll take him, and we'll both go our separate ways. And what's cool is, like, you see the ships both kind of just, like, literally go their separate ways.
Yep. And that's the end of the episode. It ends with that shot, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Fun fact, Tomalak is the one-armed man from Harrison Ford's The Fugitive.
I never saw that picture.
Really?
Is it good?
It's pretty good.
Or is it, like, for its time good? Like, is it one of those that you haven't seen it since its time?
Well, I think I've seen it.
How do you like U.S. Marshals?
I never saw that.
It's a sequel.
Yeah, I know what it is. I never saw it.
It's a sequel without Harrison Ford. Like, as much as you love The Fugitive.
So I Googled sexual assault tweet.
Oh, good.
To try to find the tweet that I'm talking about. I think it's
find some spank material.
I think it's something like the tweet I was talking about. It was something like there's no reason to hit a woman unless she hits you first or she friend zones you.
Right.
Which then someone was like, the joke here is to assault women who won't have sex with you.
Right.
But I tweeted sexual assault tweet, and apparently Dr. Phil tweeted, if a girl is drunk, is it okay to have sex with her? Reply yes or no to @Dr. Phil.
The Dr. Phil said that?
Yeah, he tweeted it.
Okay.
Which is...
I mean, I don't think there's just one answer to
Well,
that.
I mean, like...
are you in a relationship?
Yeah, like...
Is it, like, how drunk is she? Is
like
she tipsy? Is she hammered?
Her being drunk shouldn't enter into the equation. It's, like... Because if she's drunk and gives you consent... I mean, well, how...
Like, is she bombed out of her mind?
Like, and that's also the thing. Like, are you in a relationship? Because, I mean, like...
And a lot of people go to bars to get hammered and make bad decisions.
I mean, like, if you and your wife got pretty lit up...
and she wanted to have sex
and
with
she
me,
like, hey, let's bone down.
I'd be like, yeah,
like, she wouldn't wake up the morning and be like, you took advantage of me. Like,
if my wife is so
well,
drunk...
then also there's a level of trust there between...
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know,
if it's somebody I'm on the first date with and she's hammered, no, I'm not going to... I think it depends on if you're drunk, too. Like, if you're stone cold sober and this person's like...
I get whiskey dick, so that's not an issue.
I do, too. I have to be careful about that. If I'm planning to have sex, I usually don't drink.
So, there you go.
But also, usually, either my wife or I has to drive, because we don't drink at home. Yeah. Usually, it's at a party or something, so... usually it doesn't really... I've had sex with my wife when she's drunk, and I'm not. There. Eat it, Dr. Phil. Send me to jail.
So the last episode of the week is The Price. the Enterprise is hosting
negotiations,
an eBay auction, a live eBay auction, essentially,
for a wormhole. And I thought at first, like, maybe this was going to be the setup for Deep Space Nine, but it isn't. I don't think.
Because
the Deep Space Nine is next to a wormhole.
Oh, I've never watched Deep Space Nine. I didn't know that. And so you thought the Federation...
Yeah, I thought this would be like the backdoor sort of... Because the guy who wrote the teleplay is also one of the creators of the show. Because
you would think, like, oh, the Federation would win the bidding, would win the rights to it, and then put a space station there. So.
Or they'll agree to work together, because the space station, I mean, Cisco runs it, but there are a lot of species living on it.
There's a Ferengi. There's like one of the
main characters. Yeah, there are a lot of different species.
The Ferengi show up here.
Yeah, that's why I thought maybe...
They're as crazy as always.
The Wattos of space?
Yeah, I'd say so. Of Star Trek?
Yeah.
Well, Watto's in space already.
Well, no, he's on Tatooine.
Well, fair enough.
Zing! I win.
So, they have a couple different people,
like
races, I guess, showing up to bid, Federation being one of them.
Right.
And then the Ferengi, come in, they're like, hey, why weren't we...
Crash,
they party crash. Like, why weren't we invited?
And Sleeping Beauty.
Like, why weren't we invited? Blah, blah, blah. And the lady who... because it's in the... Essentially, the territory of the planet. And the planet's like, we don't have...
The resources
or the knowledge, or the technology to exploit it.
But we would like some money, please.
But give us money so you can use our wormhole.
Right.
And so... They're like, look, we didn't know that you would want to be in on it, but by all means, go ahead. And Picard's like, are you sure about that? Like
these guys are real Wattos.
Notable assholes of this galaxy.
Right.
And she's like, I don't want to fall. I don't want to step on any toes. So if they want in on the bidding, let them in.
Right.
Troy meets.
An account man from Sterling Cooper Draper Price.
Devanani Rawl.
Yeah.
Who's the negotiator for one of the groups of people.
Right.
And secretly a half Betazoid.
Yeah, like herself.
Which he's like, don't tell anybody, but I'm just like you. And they bone down pretty hard.
Yeah, well, he starts running game on her the second he meets her.
Immediately.
So much so that it kind of skeezed me out. Just how hard he was running.
Well,
game.
she was drinking his Kool-Aid, so I didn't think it was too bad. If she was kind of ugh, but she was all about it.
Right. Well, that was the thing. I was wondering if maybe he was running some sort of manipulation thing on her, or I don't know. He's a
good-looking dude.
He's a good-looking dude, but when your second season starts with her getting alien raped,
yeah,
I just feel like Troy is at risk for. She's one of the at-risk children.
Well,
but you're right. No, nothing about it seems non-consensual. But there was just something about him that I didn't like.
It's really early and really hard.
Yeah, and he's doing like Riker did to Guinan in the play flirt scene in season 2, in the Dauphine. Yes. But yeah, they have the sex.
Well, they and the planet who is holding the bidding war, they've sent a probe in there, and they're like, oh, going in one end will take you here, which will take you
80 years.
80 years at warp 9.
Right. It's supposed to lead into the Delta Quadrant, right?
Yeah. There's.
But the Gamma Quadrant comes into play later, right?
No, vice versa. It's supposed to lead into the Gamma Quadrant, and which, like I said, takes a century at warp 9. They're like, this is crazy. This is awesome.
Right.
But at the same time, Geordi's like, it doesn't take the probe. Doesn't take into account any number of things it could be essentially it
we don't know if it's stable.
I can't tell if it's stable, if it'll implode at any moment. So I mean,
we'd like to send our own.
And Picard's like, we could buy a proverbial lemon, and Data says, a proverbial lemon? He's like, not now.
Yep.
So they send Geordi and Data into it to run their own tests, and the Ferengi's like, what the fuck is going on here? We didn't agree to this, and Picard's like, chill out, dude.
It's not my job to,
we'll give you, the results of what we find. He's like, how do we know they're going to be truthful? He's like, this is why I don't want you fuckers on board.
Yeah.
So, Rawl, confides to Troy that he's half an empath. And she's like, oh, cool. And then she's like, wait a minute.
That's a little shady.
You, are, negotiating.
In good faith.
But you're using you can.
You're using your gifts to gain advantage, and he's like, "That's all negotiating is."
And it's like that's what you do if you're
because he pulls one move right away, right? He gets somebody else to withdraw from the. He gets the big forehead guys to withdraw from the negotiations.
Well, like he senses that they like those guys like kind of don't know what they're doing, like
Right.
wouldn't know what to do with it,
even if they got it.
And so
he points out some problems that would happen if they bought it.
And then they're like, well, hey, like if you give us some of your planet's natural resources, we'll get you like carte blanche to use it. And he's like, okay, cool.
Sold.
And Riker pulls that same tactic just because he's a fucking badass
Right.
and doesn't use his fucking mind powers, his mind bullets.
Yep.
And he was like, oh, sorry, I already struck up that deal with him. But there was one point where Picard has to excuse himself.
Okay.
From like the
I forgot about
from
this.
being like the lead negotiator,
right?
As like a conflict of interest.
I forgot about that.
And so Riker has to take over.
Okay.
And they mentioned it's like he's like, I don't know anything about negotiation. It's like it's kind of it's like poker. And Riker and
that's right.
Mendoza gets sick.
Yes,
that's
because
I'm sorry.
the Ferengis poisoned him.
The Ferengis fucking poisoned the Starfleet, the Federation negotiator. Secretly, obviously.
Of course.
They don't want to get in trouble. And Picard is like, well, I would have to take over, but obviously since I'm hosting, it's a conflict of interest. Like it's got to be you.
Right.
And Mendoza's like, it's just like, like poker. And Riker's like, poker, is that some sort of game? Is it a game of some sort? And he's like, yeah, it's like, I know what it is. Poker, man! I got a poker face. And so basically, and Rawls, like, he's like, Riker's the only guy at the table who, like...
really is a threat.
Yeah, who's a threat. Like, because he truly is a badass.
Yep.
And so...
have we brushed past the scene where the doctor and the counselor are working out together doing their calisthenics?
They're wearing... And see, this is the thing with a lot of, like, sci-fi, especially older sci-fi. They take what is like
fashionable,
in fashion during that time, and just kind of tweak it,
make it a little more sparkly,
and make it like more like future-y.
Right.
And so, and we posted a picture on Facebook.com/Into Dorkness of Riker and Dr. Crusher, or not Riker in spandex. No, Troy and Dr. Crusher in crazy spandex.
I was surprised that they put Dr. Crusher into spandex. They don't usually like Troy. They definitely sort of gently play for eye candy, but Crusher, they usually have her in that big blue coat, so I was very surprised that they were like, here, go for it.
And so...
where they're talking about their feelings and shit, talking about a man.
And so the negotiations are ongoing. Like, they take the probe and they realize and then they end up in the Delta Quadrant,
right,
which is...
very
far from where they're supposed to be.
Right.
And they figure out, like, dude, this wormhole is unstable. It's
bananas.
It's Kaputski.
Right.
Within a matter of days, hours, minutes, whatever. I don't know however long.
Right.
But it's not worth buying, essentially.
Right.
And so, but they don't know this. Like, they haven't relayed this information to the Enterprise.
Right.
Riker is pretty close to winning the negotiation process.
Yes.
But then all of a sudden, the Ferengi are like, fuck it, we're like, if we can't have the wormhole, we're gonna fucking blow it up. And they're like, dude, if you blow it up, then, like, because both the Ferengi and the Enterprise send their own people there.
Their own probes, yes.
Because they want to, because, the Ferengi, like, we don't trust them, whatever. Yeah. And Picard's like, dude, if you do that, you're probably gonna kill both of our ships.
Right.
And Ferengi's like, my men are prepared to die, are yours? And Troy immediately is like,
he's lying.
That guy's a fucking liar. I like him, but he's a liar. And
she likes him.
And Rawl comes onto the bridge. He's the Chrysalians, that's who he's representing.
Right.
And he's like, okay, stop this. Like, I've just won the rights to the wormhole. If you don't blow it up, then we'll give you, like, all access, free access to it.
Backstage pass.
You can have some of the catering. And is that cool? And the Ferengi's like, I guess that's cool. Sure. Like, we won't blow up the wormhole.
Right.
Like, that's a good deal. And then he's like, and also like you will like negotiate some like transport stuff.
Right,
And
right.
he's like, that's a good deal. All right, fair enough. And Troy's like, none of this shit is on the up and up. Like
You're lying too.
Like there's like no tension here. Like if you're trying to negotiate like something to like save people's lives, like where lives are at stake, you should at least have like a bit of tension.
Right.
Like Raul, you seem like you were just acting out a fucking play, and fuck you, Ferengi dude. Fuck everyone here.
Right. She sells him out. She tells them, yeah, he's part Betazoid like me, and
he's been using that to his advantage.
Right, and he's like, what the fuck?
I told you that in secret.
Yeah, that was in confidence, Deanna. You should feel bad.
It's like, that's funny because I don't. And
read my thoughts.
Read my thoughts. You'll be unpleasantly surprised at how little I care about that.
How many fucks are in storage waiting to be handed out to you?
And so the Ferengi are like, well, at one point the Ferengi's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I had tension. It was tense. And Picard's like, screen off.
He just turns them off.
And so they're like, well, Raul, you got your fucking wormhole. You got the Crystallian wormhole. And then Geordi and Data show up like, actually, Captain, this thing's a big old piece of shit. And Riker's like, well, you got yourself a worthless wormhole. And he's like, yeah, but wasn't the ride worth it?
Yeah, but what a rush.
And they go, right, bro? And he's like, get the fuck out of here.
I could have been doing so many other things than this.
But then he's like, all right, I'll see you guys later. But there was a scene between Raul and Riker where Raul's like, yeah, you had Troy, but you couldn't keep her, huh? You couldn't make her happy, like trying to get a rise out of him, trying to get him to like to
bow up,
show his like emotions,
right?
But Riker fucking plays it cool.
He's like, you don't know me at all.
He's like, motherfucker, you don't know me, and if you knew anything, you know she'd be the best goddamn thing that ever happened to you, and you should take her, but you won't because you're a fucking dumbass. I'm out. And I was like, I stood and I applauded. Riker's awesome. Riker's quickly becoming my favorite character.
He's a great character.
But next week, we're going up to 5 a week.
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
Good.
I feel lovely about it. Especially now that it's kind of firing on all cylinders.
Yeah.
The Vengeance Factor, the Defector, the Hunted, the High Ground. And guess who shows up in episode 5?
Scotty?
No.
Oh.
Q.
Oh.
Deja Q.
Okay, fair enough. I know Scotty shows up at some point.
Yes.
I'm waiting eagerly. I think Spock does too.
To have sex with people?
Spock?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
all he ever shows up for.
It's been 7 years since his last pussy tear, and well, it's that time.
It's right about time.
Do Vulcans go through menopause? The men?
The men!
Do they go through menopause?
Anything you want to add before we close out?
I'm very proud of that joke.
It's a solid joke.
Don't smoke in bed. It's dangerous.
You could fall asleep.
You could fall asleep, burn the whole house down. So watch out.
LLAP.
KO.
This has been an Adventure Podcast.